Thank you for joining us. Our special today begins with a greeting from Prime Minister Bennett, followed by a visit to the award-winning city of Coral Springs, Florida. We will hear from Mayor Scott Brook and Rabbi Friedman following these messages.
Life Extension magazine brings you new discoveries in health and anti-aging. Our science-based research and supplements are so advanced they're many years ahead of the medical mainstream, with quality control standards that exceed FDA mandates. Life Extension has covered groundbreaking medical research for more than 35 years. For your health and future, you deserve the best. Learn more at lifeextension.com.
Find magic again. Sprout by HP. With Intel RealSense technology inside, now you can bend the rules of creativity outside.
The story of Israel is a story of hope, a story of human spirit, a story of surviving against all odds. It's a story of a nation that built something from nothing, a scattered people returning to our ancient homeland. But what's the secret to our strength? It's our people, our passion, our spirit of Am Yisrael. No matter the horrors we faced, we never lost our hope. No matter who tries to dehumanize us, we never lost our humanity. No matter who tries to destroy us, we'll never be defeated. We will always prevail because Netzach Yisrael lo yeshaker. Israel may be rooted in the history of this land, but our forward-looking vision has made us #1 for startups per capita. Israel may be 60% desert, but we made it bloom and became the world leader in water technologies. Israel may be located in one of the toughest neighborhoods on earth, but just this year, we were named the 9th happiest country on earth. And there is so much to be happy about. We've got a booming economy, a powerful military, and a vibrant democracy, with the most diverse government in Israel's history, left and right, religious and secular, Jews and Arabs. We're united for a purpose, and that purpose is ensuring a strong future for the state of Israel. We continue building bridges, we continue providing solutions, and will continue creating a better future for all our children. The state of Israel has given new life to the Jewish people, security to all of Israel's citizens, and confidence that our best days are yet ahead of us. To every Israeli, every Jew in the world, and every friend of Israel, I say, Yom Atzmaut Sameach, Happy Independence Day.
Welcome to the city of Coral Springs, Florida, where we value education and family values. This award-winning city is located within Broward County, just miles away from Fort Lauderdale. With approximately 129,000 residents, we are the 13th largest city in the state of Florida. We stand by our mission statement of being the nation's premier community in which to live, work, and raise a family, and Money Magazine agreed, naming us one of the best places to live in the nation. We are the leading example for other cities on how to provide excellent customer service. By following our mission statement and 4 core values, we are constantly raising the bar. Before it became a city, Coral Springs was a farmland used to cultivate beans and raise cattle. At the time, Henry Lyons owned the land before it was passed on to his children after his death in 1952. Several years later, Coral Ridge Properties purchased land from the family with visions of creating a master-planned community.
Well, because nobody knew where this place was other than the Everglades. In fact, people in Fort Lauderdale called it TFO, too far out. He wanted to have a name that would be attractive, and so they realized that the name of their company, Coral Ridge Properties, would play into it, and what they decided was Coral Springs.
So on July 10, 1963, the city was chartered and Coral Ridge Properties held land sales to get the city started. By 1970, the city's population was between 1,500 and 3,700 people. Within the next decade, many people moved into the city, making the number of residents somewhere around 37,000 in 1980. According to the Census Bureau, between 1980 and 1996, Coral Springs was the 9th fastest growing city with population over 100,000 in the country. Today, with its 24 square miles, Coral Springs has approximately 130,000 residents and more than 3,500 businesses. We are guided by a strategic plan, which creates a shared vision for the future of the community, and our mission statement, which is to be the nation's premier community in which to live, work, and raise a family. Also in 2007, the city became the first local government to receive the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. This award is given by the President of the United States to organizations that display excellence in several areas, including leadership, strategic planning, customer and market focus, measurement, analysis and knowledge management, human resource focus, process management, and results. Leadership is another essential component to our success. It is important that employees are innovative, risk-taking, and tolerant of mistakes so that we can continually improve our services and build on past successes. By creating a system of guidelines, not rules, employees can use their own judgment to make important decisions and assist customers. Because our success is based on the satisfaction of our customers, it's only fitting that they define what quality is. This way, we know what is expected of us and can build on it from there. We focus on process improvements to increase quality for our customers. Our culture sets us apart from other municipal organizations. We are proud to have proven that the best way to run government is to run it like a business.
With us now is Mayor Scott Brook, Mayor of Coral Springs, Florida, an award-winning city right here in South Florida. Scott, it's so good to have you back on the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to see you. How are you?
Not bad at all. It's spring, and of course, this is all good. And it's interesting to see how things develop, and it so happens that in this city, this award-winning city, in fact, you know what? Tell our audience why it's called an award-winning city.
We won this prestigious award back in 2007. I had been mayor the first time. We received it in 2008. It's called the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, and we're actually the first municipality in the country to ever win this prestigious award given out to high-performing companies throughout the United States. And it comes from the Secretary of State of the United States, and we were actually presented with the award by President Bush when I was with the former Vice Mayor, Vince Bocard, and the former City Manager, Mike Levinson. It's quite a moment.
The question is, why would this reasonably small city, why is it regarded as so outstanding?
Yeah, we're now at about 134,000 residents. We're a master plan community. We were chartered in 1963, and it's very unique because we are as family oriented as we are, and how we measure our performance in this city since before I became elected in 2002 for the first time was based on objective measures. So we look to increase our response time in our fire department. We look to close out X amount of cases in our police department. And we have all these different measures of performance that help us be this high achieving organization like some of the best run businesses in the country. These days, we have a fantastic city manager, Frank Babinek runs the show day to day, and wonderful, visionary, active, proactive department heads. And we just have a lot of people that care, that are smart, that give back. And it's a great community to be a part of.
I'm honoured and pleased to live here for 20 years. My son volunteers. Paul volunteers for the city. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you is that basically, in this very strange time in history, the world has endured so many unexpected challenges, to say the least. And this city has been managing rather well, actually, with all of these emergencies and situations. Share a little bit of that with us.
Sure. I'd attribute it to about 4 to 6 factors. One of them is our city manager, who has a public health background. We've also had fantastic leadership in emergency management and our medical director, Dr. Peter Antevi. So we were able throughout this pandemic to be informed, be proactive, and keep our residents informed and to some extent engaged while keeping them safe. We've also had a balanced approach, in my opinion, to COVID. So there were some changes that we made in regards to early on to support our businesses. One of them was we came up with $1,000 for 250 businesses to help them at a very tough time. We also started the Economic Recovery Task Force during this time, which was comprised of volunteers in our community, as well as our city manager, our emergency management director, Alex Falcone, and our economic development director, Christy Bartlett, and myself, with about 12 volunteers. And then you also mentioned your son being a volunteer. We've had volunteers throughout our community, whether it was city-led or non-city-led, that help people transition during this tough time. So for instance, Chabad Lubavitch, with the leadership of Rabbi Friedman here, had a lot of volunteers and gave out food almost every Wednesday for many, many Wednesdays. And then we had some food drives and help of some local resources to also help families in need. One of the things that all of us did on the commission was we made ourselves available extra by Zoom early on in the pandemic to really listen to our residents, be a presence for them, but also help them with resources. And then one of the best resources before, after, during the pandemic is 211, which is a Broward County resource, and they funnel needs to resources throughout our Broward County community. So those are a few of the reasons that I think we're able to manage this pandemic pretty well. There were some proactive measures that the fire department took, and that was led by our city manager. And one of them involved pool testing that could potentially save a lot of dollars and then save us from having the COVID virus spread. The details of that you'd have to get from Frank or from Dr. Antevi or from Alex.
You mentioned Rabbi Friedman. So happens Rabbi Friedman's going to be on the show following our interview with you. And back to the city, in the history of the city, I think 50 or 60 years in existence, the biggest development ever in the history is taking place right now, the new downtown. Tell us about it.
Yes, so we have the cornerstone development here on the southwest corner of Sample and University. We're going to have a Hyatt hotel with a rooftop bar. It's going to have retail on the bottom, condos above, and it's just going to be a great area for people to be entertained. You can walk your dog. There'll be places for people to sit, walk, connect. I'm putting it out there repeatedly for Rod Sheldon, who's the main developer, to look for a jazz place to bring in. I do think that there'll be some various places that has live music. And for me, it'll be entertainment for people of all ages, from 12 to 92. So it'll be a really great way for our community to connect. There'll be enough parking. And when we run out of parking, we'll have a shuttle service or something of the kind. And that's spurring also development on the northwest corner. And then we'll see what happens on the northeast corner in the years to come. But I anticipate a diversified tax base, reasons for our children, my children, they're at ages 21, 23, 30 and above, to say, hey, Coral Springs is a place I'd like to raise my family and be engaged. And just really excited about our downtown development. It's coming along great. little bit faster than I would have anticipated, and we should be. I think we're going to do some, ribbon cutting probably around May of 2023, if my estimate is correct.
The sooner, the better. Sir, before we conclude our interview, what are your plans for the future?
In terms of whether I'm hoping to be mayor again?
Or
just in general?
another position, perhaps?
Yeah, right now I'm running for mayor, and I am your mayor, so far running unopposed, which is fantastic. And it's just a pleasure to serve our citizens. I'm really grateful, especially to my wife, Brenda, for her support, for me to be able to be the mayor. I'm in my 4th term. I'm blessed to work with a fantastic commission. We really have great alignment, a lot of fantastic citizens, a lot of leaders in our community that give back and give me input. And as far as what's happening beyond mayor, I'm planning to be a poppy, hopefully to more grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren now, and you never know where politics may take you.
Well, I should charge you for the following compliment. I've interviewed so many mayors, the mayors of Las Vegas, the husband, and now his wife, and Mayor Koch all the way back then, and mayors in Jerusalem and also, and you're just about the most dynamic of all. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being with us, and hope to have you again in the future.
I appreciate that, Richard. Happy to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As the COVID-19 pandemic and economic health crisis has gotten worse, especially in South Florida, there is an increasing insecurity along with everything else. Over 18% of children here are food insecure. Since March 2020, the Chabad Synagogue of Coral Springs has been providing free groceries several times a week for curbside pickup, including fresh produce, as well as kosher items for families. Rabbi Avraham Friedman estimates that the Chabad has donated thousands of boxes and packages of food over the last few months, and said they are doing their very best to make sure Coral Springs residents do not go hungry. Joining us now is Rabbi Avraham Friedman. Rabbi, it's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you. Likewise.
We just had Mayor Scott Brook a few moments ago, and in fact he mentioned you. We were talking about trends in the city and all sorts of other things. But of course with you I have a different subject. I'd like to ask you about mitzvot and tzedakah. I think it was Albert Einstein who said, the trouble with kindness is it's perceived by many as a weakness, which it is not. It is not weakness. But please share your thoughts on that.
My thoughts on tzedakah is that it is definitely not a weakness. It is a strength. And I will give 2 answers to that, or from 2 perspectives. With all due respect to Albert Einstein, and I do have much respect for him, in this case, I will disagree with him because of 2 reasons, or 2 explanations that are sort of interconnected. In Hebrew, the word tzedakah, which is commonly translated as charity, is not an accurate translation. Tzedakah, as the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson points out, is really related to the word tzedek, which means righteousness. It is the right thing to do. We educate a child from basically from when he can move his hands to put a coin in the tzedakah pushka, in the tzedakah box. It is a fundamental part of our education, that to give and to be kind and to be generous and to share of the blessings that you have is a basic recognition and appreciation for what God gives us. In fact, And this goes to point number 2, the prayers we say before Rosh Hashanah and the Slichot, when we approach God for giving us blessings and asking to give us a good year and health, we say right away, L'cha Hashem hatzdaka. To you, God, is tzedakah. We don't come in and demand for us to have all these blessings. We know it is an act of tzedakah, of kindness, of righteousness on behalf of God to take care of us. So it is not a weakness because God is not weak. God is the omnipresent and the strongest of all. He gives life to all. And yet we refer to God and we plead from Hashem to provide tzedakah to us in asking for blessings.
I wish everyone in the world was conscious and aware of the significance of what you just explained. And we live in a troubled world, and there is a lacking of a lot of human decency and kindness I would like to have seen in this beautiful world. And even right here in Coral Springs, you have been in the forefront of providing so much goodness and good deeds for all people of all backgrounds. Share a little bit more about what you're doing in the past and present.
So, we have spoken about this in the past, and I want to connect it to the discussion we had because we're discussing tzedakah. Tzedakah, because it's a place of strength, there is another element of how that strength, rather weakness, expresses itself, which to elaborate, to articulate this point, the stronger anything is, the further it reaches. You throw a ball, if you put just a little bit of energy, the ball will drop after a short distance. You put in more energy, it'll go further. One of the signs of the strength of tzedakah is how far and how broad it reaches. And when you have tzedakah, which is shared across many different groups and people that you don't even know, it's easy to go ahead and provide for someone that you know, someone that depends on you, and so on. But it is far greater and far stronger when it reaches further, in the sense of it's the people that you're helping are not tied to you, they're not within your inner circle, but it goes beyond that inner circle. That shows on a greater strength of the tzedakah provided. So over here in Coral Springs, I will say that with the help of a really, again, call it a wider, a more diverse, a stronger group of volunteers of all backgrounds, we have reached out and provided food and other assistance to so many of all backgrounds, of all religions, and that shows on the beautiful strength of the tzedakah because it's reaching so wide and on such a continuous basis, which all shows on the strength of the commitment to the giving to others. So that's a wonderful thing that we've been doing here in Coral Springs, and it's just provided a great unity. And I hope a role model to others and an inspiration to others to do the same, that instead, in a world today, where unfortunately, because of the certain strengths that democracies have, where freedom of speech, etc., where people sometimes use that wonderful gift to spread hatred, the division, and so on, violence, you could far better use those tools for motivating and inspiring others to help those that are in need, again, way beyond the usual circle that you would have been able to reach not that long ago. Today, we have these wonderful tools to be able to inform, inspire, motivate, bring together many different people to help many different people.
And you've been doing this not just for a couple of days, but for a couple of years, continuously, truckloads and lines of people of all cultural backgrounds. And it is absolutely outstanding and very unusual. Give us a final message as we conclude this interview.
So, yes, you are correct. And again, I do want to stress that it's only could be done by an amazing group of volunteers that we have. And the final message is that I believe strongly that good is more powerful than bad. Good is more powerful than evil. Good does overcome. You just have to find a way to bring it out and to sort of fan that inner goodness. God created us. In Genesis, we read, God blew within us a spirit of life, and that spirit of life is our core. And because it comes from God, it is a burning flame of goodness. We just have to sort of connect to it. And also, as the nature of a flame is, that when you connect flames together, when you connect fires together, they gravitate and create a much more beautiful flame. It's out there, it's available. We need to believe it, we need to know it, we need to tap into it.
Rabbi, thank you so very much for being with us again.
Much success. Thank you again for the opportunity, and you be well. We want you to be healthy so that you could continue the good work that you are doing.
Thank you, Rabbi.
This concludes our special show for today. I'm Amanda. Thank you so much for being with us.